So last week I asked you lads to give me some of your hot takes on BBS, and over a week we have received over 300 comments, so unfortunately I can't go over all of them in one video. So if you guys do want to see part 2, make sure you do like the video. If we get around 500 likes, I'll probably upload the second part sometime next week. That being said though, the idea of this video is basically me giving my reaction to some of the hot takes that you lads have, and say whether I do agree or disagree with them. So for example, I will start. I said co-op content is more fun than single player content, and the main reason why I do say that is mainly because single player content is way too easy. For the most part, you're always one-shotting everything, and it isn't really giving you the challenge that I really want to have. In co-op, even though it's still somewhat easier, especially with max transcended characters, a lot of the times you don't end up one-shotting the enemies. A lot of the times you have to go against multiple bosses, you have to time your soul bombs, you have to have teammates, and overall it's just more fun playing with a group of friends that know what they're doing, and that's why I think co-op is more fun. And personally, if I could have it my way, I would actually much prefer the single player content's difficulty to be similar to co-op, where the enemies don't just die in one shot, and it also has a couple bosses, not always in the last stage. You actually have to work towards the final boss. I think that would actually be a lot better for difficulty wise, just to make the game a bit more fun, spice up a tad bit. Epic raids are one of the worst parts of the game due to not respecting a player's time. The rewards have stayed the same since forever, and it is a monotonous loop. The game mode would be completely stranded after the first week of a new epic raid if it wasn't for transcendence goals, which it barely gets any of. Now this right here, Laceration gave a very good point. One of the worst things about the game right now is epic raids. It was fun for the first few months, and it's fun for the first 1 or 2 days really, when you actually start learning the pattern and stuff, but when there's an epic raid that has very bad bonuses, which does happen quite a bit, it just makes farming it a hassle, to the point where I don't even get the pet anymore. I haven't gotten the pet for the last 2 or so months. I hadn't even got the rookie one yet, because the main reason why I do it now is just to get the orbs, get the 5-star ticket, and get the transcendence scrolls. I don't care about the pets, I don't really need them. So I think the 2 easy solutions to make this more fun, epic raids more enjoyable experience, is 1, the simplest one, allow us to do 5 times runs. Once they do that, it would make the game mode perfectly fine in my opinion. And in case I do want to go the extra mile, giving me more of a reason to play epic raids, allow the pets to give us stats outside of epic raids. Now this one isn't really a big deal, I don't really care about the pet stats and stuff like that, but the main point is epic raids needs to allow us to do 5 times runs, because it is a terrible grind. It's one of the more grindier things in the game, and it doesn't feel rewarding. There's really no reason to farm anything in the shop outside of the scrolls, outside of the orbs. And once they do that, I honestly think epic raids will be one of the more fun game modes out there. This game is actually pretty free to play friendly, just don't be an idiot with your orbs. Now this I 100% agree with. The main reason because you're never really forced to summon for specific characters. Sure, stuff like Senkamon and stuff like that, they kind of require you to have a certain character, but there's always replacements. In fact, the newest Senkamon tower, and I tested it myself, half of the floors can actually be beaten with free-to-play characters, such as the Senkai Aizen, the Senkai Ichigo, Frenzy Byakuya, and also the Zangetsu. So for the most part, Senkamon is still a bit sticky in terms of what characters you need to bring and stuff like that, but that's perfectly fine. And what a lot of players do is compare what we have to other gacha games, and I don't think that's quite fair. For example, some people would say, look at Dokkan, they give guaranteed SSRs. Some people would say, look at 7 Deadly Sins, they give a bunch of currency every single week. But you gotta look at the race that the game does have, and look at how many characters that are almost unusable. Bleach Brave Souls, for the most part, every character that comes out, every character has been thrown into a lot of fillers. The characters that we hate pulling are all perfectly usable. Sure, it might not be the character that you want, but at the very least, it's a character that's still usable in literally 90% of the game's content. Almost every character that's released in the last 3 or so years, even the worst characters like someone like Makoto for example, is still perfectly usable in every piece of content that you put them against, more so even if you get dupes of him. And you can't really say the same for a lot of gacha games out there. Rarely, in my opinion, are you really forced to summon for a character. Sure, for example, the PvP characters, those characters I would say that you're kind of forced to summon on if you actually want to enjoy the PvP game mode, but at least on the bright side, PvP really doesn't do much for people. And also, Caleb have made PvP a lot easier. Now you know what team you are up against. You don't actually have to fight someone with both Tsukishima and Drugum. You can easily avoid them. So I would definitely say Bleach Brave Souls is one of the more free-to-play gacha games out there. Sure, we don't have it the best, but at the bright side, it's not pay to win. As much people would like to cry that it is, it's really, really not. In fact, one of the main reasons why I even started uploading Bleach Brave Souls content in the first place is because I felt the game was free-to-play friendly. Even though I play like 15 other gacha games, I felt that Bleach Brave Souls was one of the few gacha games where I could actually be a content creator and not have the the need of wailing out on every single banner. Now that being said, I do spend a bit of money every now and then, especially ever since I started to do videos, but that's mainly just to make more content. I never really have to summon for these characters. It's more so just the gambling addict in me, or the gacha addict in me, that wants to pull these characters, but I never really need to pull for them, if that kind of makes sense. They should let you open times 100 on tickets. It would make burning through thousands of premium tickets more tolerable. I 100% agree with this. I think if any gacha game needs you to set up a macro to try and do something like this, there obviously is a problem. There's definitely a quality of life update that can be actually made there, and that's one of them. They actually give us a lot of silver tickets to the point where you have too many. Now, I have never really been for them, but what I do is create a macro to go through them, and that's something we shouldn't need to do. The game should actually supply us with an update that lets us do that, and opening 100 at a time would definitely make our life easier. It would save us time, and I think no one would really complain about that. So hopefully one day in the future Caleb can actually do that. The story shouldn't be only for orbs / low star collections. It should be harder and satisfying to progress through it, like in FGO. And again, I also agree with this. Now, one of the things about this game that I don't really like to a certain extent is the fact that a new player can join the game, get a new 6-star character, max them out within seconds, and they can pretty much go about their way and finish the game. Now, one of the bad things about that is the fact that once you are a new player and you bang out the game to a certain point, you get to the end game very, very quickly, and that shouldn't be a thing in the game because you get bored quicker, right? A lot of people start the game, they get their characters, they pretty much one-shot all of the content in the game, and then they get bored of it. Now, if, again, going back to what I said at the start of the video, we need harder content. If story mode was a lot harder and you couldn't progress as fast, it would actually make it more beneficial. It would make you feel rewarded for actually maxing your characters, giving us a reason to actually grind our characters to beat some content, and I think FGO is a good example of that. The story mode is actually quite hard, and it actually rewards you for playing the game and maxing your characters and grinding your characters. You can't really say the same about that in Bleach Brave Souls, outside of really guild quests, which are now going to be a lot easier thanks to this new power-up system. We only stay on BBS because there's no other Bleach game worth playing, and Caleb knows this too. Now, I'm not sure if it's just me, but for one, I actually really do like the game style and play style of Bleach Brave Souls. Sure, the main reason why I even downloaded the game in the first place was because it was Bleach, and that's also one of the main factors why I even stick to playing this game. But I actually very much like the gameplay of the game. I like the characters, I like using strong attack, I like completing guild quests, Senkamon. I sometimes even like playing PvP, but I will say that even though there isn't any other Bleach games out there that's worth playing, Bleach Immortal Souls exist. That's fun for the first few months until you find out how pay to win it actually is. Then you have Bleach More 3D, also finding out how pay to win it is in the first 10 or so minutes. Those games are quite fun, but they don't actually live up to BBS in the way that the quality that that game actually produces, right? But with an anime console game, because that's what I'm going to assume people are talking about, right? Even when we do get a console game, it's not going to stop me from playing Bleach Brave Souls. It's not even going to reduce the playtime. Because sure, that game could be fun, but Bleach Brave Souls is a fun game in my opinion too. I'm not playing it because it's the only Bleach game out there. I'm playing it because I genuinely like the game. And if in the future we do get a new console game, or we do get a new gacha game that's better than Bleach Brave Souls, I'm still going to be playing Bleach Brave Souls until the game does shut down, because I really do like this game. I really do like the characters in it, and I just overall like playing this game. But I'm not sure if that's just me. BBS should have a pity system if you reach a certain step in a banner. Like, you're guaranteed a banner unit at a certain point. And we've talked about this in the past, you know, we honestly should at this point have guaranteed banner characters. In fact, and this is the worst part about it, the All Asia banner, the one that released right before the 5th anniversary, when the new Asian players, the new Asian server did actually release, that banner was honestly one of the best structured banners in a long time. And honestly, if the banners were like that, I think the game would be a lot more fun. And overall, I think a lot of people would complain less about the game being quote-unquote pay to win or not free to play friendly. The way that banner worked is that we had 3 banner characters. In this case, it was the 3 Ichigos that I did release in the past, the anniversary characters, but they actually had a 0.5 rate, and then they also threw in a bit of extra fillers, but those fillers didn't impact the actual banner characters' rates, because the normal characters had a 0.4% rate, but the banner characters had a 0.5% rate. So overall, I felt like the banner characters had a somewhat increased rate, because they did, even though they were still 0.5. But the main point is, if you went to step 15, you were guaranteed one of the 3 banner characters, and that's how the future banners should actually work. No more 25-step banners, no more 35-step banners. In fact, if you do want to give us 30-step banners, at least give us some kind of banner character at a certain point. I think the fairest one would probably be around step 10 or 15. At that point, you know, if you do 10 steps on a banner, you should honestly walk away with one one of the banner characters, and sometimes you do end up doing 10 multis and get no banner character, and it really does hurt your enjoyability in the game, and you end up quitting the game or you just stop playing, and overall it just doesn't work in Caleb's favor. So I do think they should start giving us guaranteed banner characters at a certain point. Are they ever going to do that? Who knows, right? It's been 5 years, so I ain't holding out to it. Now, this comment is very, very long, and I can't read it out, but I do want to pick out some parts. Firstly, they mentioned GoQuest is never actually good. You know, some people actually think the old GQ was better, you know, the one where you tried to try and speedrun. That had its own problems too. They definitely could have improved it more so than actually just revamping it entirely, and I can agree that in a certain extent it was actually better. But this new GQ, right, the hard difficulty one, the one that isn't really worth playing because the rewards aren't good enough. That's true, the rewards definitely should be better, but I think the good thing, because I don't think anyone really talks about how good the new GQ is, right, or the hard difficulty of GQ, because it actually has done good things for the game. For example, resurrection links, the ones that we all hate to see, you know, paralysis and NAD, paralysis and recharge, weaken and recharge. Normally we hate seeing that on resurrected characters. They're now actually very good and useful links, and I'm actually happy I have some of those characters. The hard difficulty of GQ also makes it so you kind of want to have all these NAD based characters that I never really used in the past, like Kanfield Noitora, Shusuke Amagai, 4 Hollow Ichigo. I never really used those, but they're now meta in this new GQ. Even though they don't have guard break, I'm very happy to pull for them. A few months ago when I was pulling for the Burn the Witch characters, I ended up getting a 5 out of 5 Hiyori, and I was salty about it because she's not that good. She doesn't have guard break, but now it doesn't matter because she's one of the best characters for that GQ. Oetsu has also seen a very good kind of upgrade in a certain extent because of this new hard GQ. So even though this new hard GQ has its own problems, like the ones that we've received in the past, the normal GQ and also the old GQ, they all had their own problems too. I think there aren't really anyone talking about the benefits of this new guild quest because it actually has revived some characters that we never really used in the past, and I do really appreciate that. One thing I do want to mention on is that last paragraph where they basically talked about how Caleb have come up with new ways to get money out of us. For example, releasing the passports, Tapjoy, the ads. They come with a lot of ways to get money, but they haven't really done that for free-to-players, and that's quite fair if I'm being honest, because if you actually look at the last 3 or so years, the amount of orbs that we do get, they're pretty much always around the same. Again, around 2,000 orbs a month, right? Even though in the last few or so years we've gotten new game modes that feel like they give us a lot of orbs, Caleb do like to take orbs from someplace else and just make it so we only ever average around 2,000 orbs a month. Obviously last month was a bad example, we only got 900 if you weren't able to complete Senkamon, but on average we do get around 2k orbs a month. That can be a problem, but again I think there's more problems in the game more so than the orb count that they do give us. I can't wait for Caleb to introduce Human Killer GQ. Stop, fam. Stop. Co-op lag only exists because Caleb cannot afford good servers and instead make it rely on the host connection. Yeah, pretty much, right? If you actually play the JP version and you are actually in Japan, there isn't really that much lag. In fact, co-op players, someone that joins the room can actually nuke multiple waves like a host can in the Japanese client of the game. But for co-op on the global side, yeah, it is a bit laggy. Now for me, I always host my own room, so I don't really care about co-op lag because I again host my own rooms, right? But yeah, I don't think there's really much Caleb can do. Sure, they could actually buy servers, but do they really need to? I don't know if it's just me, but a lot of gacha games that I played in the past don't really have their own servers for co-op. They normally always rely on the host, you know, connection. So yeah, I don't think there's really much we can say about this, right? This is how they do it in Japan, I guess. There needs to be a way to purchase 5-star characters that you want. For example, I didn't oppose Tsukishima, and I do want him. So for example, after a month or 2, he can become a buyable character with some form of currency. This form of currency will be built up upon with every multi you summon. If you play Dokkan, you know what I mean. It's like the gold and red coin system. And again, I also kind of agree with this. They did recently introduce it in One Piece Treasure Cruise, and it has been a good system. What I think, more so than adding new characters 3 or so months after they return, because I think Caleb don't really want to do that, have it so we can actually buy older characters, right? The resurrection characters, for example. A lot of players that do start the game recently don't have access to all these old characters that came out years ago because they don't get put in banners. You don't want them to be in banners because they're not really that good, right? But it would actually be nice if we could buy them with some form of currency, whether that's by playing the game, logging in daily, actually spending currency in the game. I think that would actually be a pretty good system. Do I think it will happen? Probably not, but I can only hope. Chronicle Quest. It would be nice to play 50 tickets in a row instead of 5. And then we also have another one saying there should be a 10 times run option. Now, my point of view is I kind of disagree with this, mainly because I think 5 times run is a quite reasonable amount of tickets to spend in a run, right? Any more than that, you'd be playing the game less. Like, imagine logging into the game, and then you spend 50 soul tickets, and then you log off after 5 minutes. Like, what's the point of even playing the game at that point, if that kind of makes sense? Sure, it would make farming a lot easier, but at that point, you're playing the game less, and I just don't see the fun in it. If I only logged in once a day to spend 50 soul tickets in one go and then log off, I'll probably eventually quit the game after that. So I can see why Caleb don't want to do that. But I actually very much like playing the game, and I think 5 times soul tickets a quest is actually fairly reasonable. What I think they can do instead of that is add a auto retry. I think that'll actually be a very good system, similar to 7 Deadly Sins. You can just start the quest in case you're autoing, and you can just play through it. Once you're done the quest, it just re-autos it again. I think that'll actually be a better system instead of just spending 50 soul tickets in one go, because at least at that point I'm still somewhat playing the game, even though I'm still autoing it. That kind of makes sense. Having Link Slot Plus characters is just as bad as not having any, because you actually have to use them. Otherwise, people won't join your room, and people will close their room if you're not a 5+ character. You know my opinion on Link's characters. At first, I actually really did like them, but now I'm actually starting to dislike them because I don't want to use them. And I think the one way to fix this is that Caleb needs to start adding more characters with that skill. And I do believe we will get more characters like that in the future, and once we do, I think it will make co-op a lot better, because at that point, you're not asking for one specific character. Instead, you might be asking for 5 or so characters. One problem is, obviously, I don't want to be using the same character in every single quest. It gets boring. I'm sick and tired of using Ruruka. I'm sick and tired of using Momo, even though she is the most recent one. Kisuke I don't actually mind using, same with Rukia, but the other two, they're just a pain to use, and over time we're going to get more better characters, and it would actually be nice if these better characters could actually also have the skill, so I can actually use them instead. But I think the Link Sort characters were kind of a mistake. I feel like the better option would have just been to increase the drop rate, and at that point we can just use whoever you want. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but I am actually looking forward to the new Super IZ, whatever they're calling it, for the Super Link Swords, because at this moment in time, we don't have characters that do increase the drop rate, so I'm going to be enjoying using my actual favorite characters. Makoto is a super underrated character and doesn't really deserve the hate. And kind of funny, because I actually did make a video the other day or the other week saying Makoto was the worst character of 2020, and I do mention in that video, even though I do say that, and I still stand by that, he definitely is the worst character of the year, he's still perfectly usable, and he can still be used to beat pretty much 99% of the game's content. And that's kind of the good thing about the state of this game, where we don't really ever get bad characters. So yes, he doesn't really deserve the hate, but at the same time, I actually see more people actually gloat about Makoto, hence the name Magoto, right? I know it's kind of a meme in the community and stuff like that, but I see more people praise Makoto than actually hate on him, funny enough. Hot take, Aaroniero is the cutest YouTuber in the community. I appreciate it all. I appreciate that 20 likes to that comment did get to. That has definitely made my day. Why do most characters have pretty much the same kit? I know the answer to this one. It's because they're BBS tubers. Shafted characters, they make them seem less hype. They're killing characters in a sense. Praising God Kit units and Nad units with guard break, there is no wow, this character has amazing VA, or this character has great animations, or this character special is very good. Now, I personally disagree and agree at certain parts on this. Firstly, saying it's only the BBS tubers' fault, I kind of disagree with. Honestly, I don't say it's anyone's fault that the characters are now the way they are, mainly because everyone praises characters with guard break. Everyone hates on bad characters, right? I wouldn't necessarily say it's only the BBS YouTubers, but I think the main reason why characters are now almost the exact same every time they come out is because of the way they designed the game, right? They always need to up the characters. In a game that's been going on for almost 6 years, they have to keep making characters better and better, to the point now where can you really get better than a 1200 full screen? Can you really get better than a 960 AoE 2? Can you really get better than a 3000 length beam? Sure, you could increase the range just a tad bit, but the most part, they've already made the perfect character, where if they don't release characters like that, regardless of what the YouTubers or the community say, no one's really going to be pulling for characters that are bad. So I think it's more so Caleb's fault for the way they designed the game, and for the fact that the game has run for how long it actually has, where they just have to keep making characters that are better than the previous ones, and to do that, it's kind of hard when you already have the perfect set of characters, right? That's just my opinion though. And going to the second part of the comment, how some people don't praise the characters' visuals instead of just the character themselves. I can kind of agree with that. I think not many people talk about the visuals all too much like we should be. If you look at my past showcases, I actually do like to spend a few minutes in the video talking about the visuals, breaking down what actually does happen. and sometimes even show you lads where the strong attacks were used in the actual series. So yeah, I can actually agree that we don't appreciate the visuals of characters like we should be doing, but it just comes down to person. Sometimes you just don't care about the visuals and you want a good character. Like I said multiple times, I like to appreciate the visuals of a character, and that's why I said someone like Conflict Mayuri is my favorite character in the game, because visually he looks great. He plays the exact same as someone like Lie, or someone like Spirit Side Tabiaki or Bankai Shinji, but I'm gonna decide to use Mayuri more so than not, because he looks great and I really do like the visuals of the character. With that said though lads, that was the video. Hope you guys did enjoy it. 20 minutes of some hot takes in BBS. Again, we had almost 300 comments on this one post, so I do want to make more videos on this specific post before I make another one going over more hot takes and stuff like that, if we do want to make it into a series. But if you guys do like this kind of video, show some support by liking the video. Again, if we do hit 500 likes on this one video, I will make a part 2 sometime next week going over the comments that I wasn't able to cover in this video, because I don't want to make the video too long. That being said, hope you guys did enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
最悪。